Hey everybody, welcome back to Super Comic Fun Time. It is July 6th, Friday, close to the end of my vacation, and I'm only 3 issues into Man of Steel. I just finished issue number 3, and after a brief pause, I'll tell you about it. Of course, this is the John Byrne series. John Byrne and Dick Giordano. So, hold on while we transition. Okay, so starting with the cover for issue 3 of John Byrne's Man of Steel, we see we're going to have Batman in this issue. We also see we have Magpie, who is a lesser known villain to me, at least. I have not, this is probably the first book I've read her in since I've come back to comics, and since I didn't read DC as a kid, I never met her before. We start with a fairly exciting 9-panel opening where Batman is chasing a villain. This is also reminiscent of the Justice League movie, only not quite. So we get the reveal of Batman. And he's trying to stop somebody, you know, even though they give it away on the cover. He just calls her her. He says, 8 people have died already. I'm not going to tolerate any more deaths. Now talk. Where does she plan to strike next? And then he throws, you know, he happens to be in a garbage pile, and he throws it in Batman's face, which is appropriate because we're dealing with Gotham City here. So here Batman gets the garbage out of his face, takes off after the guy whose name is Bull. Was it Bull Connor? It was Bull something, but as Batman goes chasing after him, an ad for a candy called Bonkers. I can't say I'm familiar with that one. This looks cool. This Legends page. I'll have to look up these books. Maybe I've even got a few. Anyways, so then we have the first meeting of Batman and Superman is pulling Batman by the grappling hook, and Batman ditches. He goes, so Batman is so good, he's able to elude Superman. He goes, he's a superb athlete and an intuitive genius by all accounts, but I've read nothing that suggests he could fly or move at super speed or turn invisible. And that's right there. And then Batman is there, silhouetted nicely. Invisibility is a relative thing. I'm sorry, I'm getting some shade here. It's a little windy this morning. Sometimes all it requires is wit and a matchless knowledge of the city. Batman! So Superman comes at him again, but Batman has a plan up his sleeve, which is he's got a force field around him, and he threatens that if Superman breaches the force field, it's a force field like a metal detector, so if the force field is broken, a bomb somewhere in the city will go off and kill an innocent person. So that's a little shocking for Batman, but we Batman fans know, like, it's probably a different ploy, which we won't find out for a few pages here. So Batman explains the situation. Yeah, this is just Superman can't believe Batman would harm an innocent person. So there's a little shock there. But then we get the backstory. Is Magpie has been stealing things. I like this. You got the Timex watch carousel, and so Magpie steals jewels and replaces them with bombs and stuff. So these bombs would have been harmless if the guy hadn't touched them, but he does, and it says here, the blast knocked out windows all down the street. It took the coroner's men 2 days to find all the pieces of Henry Jarrell, who is the jeweler who we just see get blown up there. And then we get a whole list of Magpie's crimes. Wherever she steals something, people die. And so here's our first look at her within the book. It's like, Bull is a small-time hood, muscle, and every indication was that he'd been hired by the lady behind these crimes, a particularly fatal femme who calls herself Magpie. And we've got the coming in, fool! And then she's like, really railing at this Bull guy, but then her psychology comes up. You know, she's saying that he could have led Batman on a wild goose chase and he'd be off her back for months. But then she goes, I must, okay, there's such pretty things, such pretty sparkling things, and I must have them all. Pretty shiny things, must have. So she goes into kind of, is this called a fugue state? I'm not sure. But then she comes back to herself and decides that Bull has to be punished for not doing a job right. And I love this. She's got two other henchmen. So yeah, you have like these guys here. His name is Carling, and I'm not sure what that guy's name is. But yeah, you see him here in the background when we first get to that scene. And then one of them, the guy whose name I don't know, she paralyzes him, and then she decides what punishment will fit his crime, and she goes, oh, and this guy goes, oh no boss, not happy birthday, not happy birthday. That reminds me of a Warner Brothers cartoon I've seen. I don't remember which one, but I think, pretty sure that comes from a Warner Brothers cartoon. And then Superman hears the explosion, and the two are off to figure out what's going on, and it turns out she's holed up in a abandoned museum in Gotham. So then, you know, she just cracks up here and goes, poor Bull, now he'll never get ahead in the world. Wonk, wonk, wonk. And so yeah, the cameras, they have rooftop security that tells them that somebody's coming, and then Superman just bursts in through a wall, which I wonder how safe it is for an abandoned museum, you know, like, but I guess it's safe enough. Then, you know, this is of course the first time Batman and Superman meet, and this is a very fun issue. I'll just scan it. So, you know, they catch Magpie, but she has another trick up her sleeve, and she releases an acidic gas, which Superman sucks in. And in this series, this is the first time we see this superpower. He goes up to space to release it, and when it's frozen, he can use his microscopic eyes to see that the chemical composition of the gas has changed. So he decides to go back, and he finds Batman has a mobile crime unit in his car, the finest in the state. And this is how they track down Magpie, which it turns out she's a woman who is a curator of a museum that isn't abandoned in Gotham. Yeah, because this fiber turns out to be 5,000 years old, and of course we have the mummies there, which are 5,000 years old. And her name is actually Margaret Pye, which is very fortunate. Now, this was a very good issue because you have this psychological thing going on here. It's like she wants her headdress back, and then she has a breakdown again. It's mine. You can't have the pretty things. Can't have pretty things. Pretty. And then, like, you know, Superman is like strange to hear her break down like that, and he goes, I feel sorry for her, and he goes, do you think I don't? She's not a real criminal, not like the kind of gutter slime I've dedicated myself to destroying. She's just a frail human psyche, an unbalanced id that got pushed too far. You saw the psychological profile in her records. A little girl who loved pretty things a trifle too much, and perhaps who was taunted and called Magpie because of it, who educated herself to become curator of one of the nation's leading museums, and found herself having to watch over pretty things she could never possess. Yes, I feel sorry for her, Superman, but I feel more sorry for her victims. So, you know, what a good ending, you know. Then they talk a little more, and this is where Batman reveals that the innocent person his bomb was going to kill was himself. He had the bomb on him, and yeah, there he is handing it over to Superman, and he says he knew what kind of man Superman was, and Superman would be able to tell if he was lying, so he had to like put somebody's life at risk. And yeah, this was the best issue so far. I think each of these issues have gotten better, which is the way it should be. I can't wait for issue 4. Here we see, I guess, crossover legends. We have another Magpie issue. That looks kind of good. And then here we have an advertisement for Year 1, which I still haven't read. Batman Year 1, which is a classic. Coming soon, Batman Year 1, a special 4-part story that Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli appearing in issue 404, 405, 406, and 407. So, well, that's going to do it for this issue of the travel log. Yeah, again, I can't praise this issue too highly. It was a lot of fun. And so if you've read this back in the day, let me know what you thought. This is really a great series. I like, like I say, each issue is better than the last, and each issue is also kind of a self-contained story. So it doesn't really depend on reading the previous episode. So great deal of fun back from 1986. So remember, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your friends, and I will be back soon. Hopefully I'll be able to get the next 3 parts done in the next 2 days before my vacation is over, but we'll finish them out anyways. Talk to you soon. Super Comic Fun Time out.